This conference will now be recorded.
Hello. Hello.
Hi Sriram, yes, I can hear you now.
Morning, guys. My name is Sriram. Uh, I have total 9 years of experience in UK payroll, SAP, and currently I am working in a CMM level 5 company. I'm welcoming you all for this session. This session is all about UK payroll legislation. So I'm expecting everyone to be aware of the basic SAP configurations of payroll, like company code, personal area, personal sub area, and other stuff. I'll be covering only the UK legislation part here. Please stop me if you want to ask me any questions. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, Sriram, please go ahead, Sriram.
Okay, fine. I hope everybody is aware of the basic configurations. To start off with the company code, personal area, personal sub area, and employee group, subgroups, everything, and even the base type configurations, everything. So to start off with, uh, the country grouping for UK is 08. So you guys have might have seen like whenever you go through a particular configuration table or base type catalog, everything, it will be popping up with the company, I mean, country grouping, so that the country specific wage types alone or those configurations will be displayed. So for UK, SAP has given the country grouping as 08, and likewise, in certain places, you will be seeing the country grouping as GB in certain tables. Okay. Um, Coming to this legislation part. Okay. So the main legislation will be your tax and NI. NI is nothing but national insurance. So these are the two components mainly calculated for each employee on their earnings. Okay. So like India, how we have the different tax slabs and various percentages calculated on those tax in slabs. So likewise, even UK has a different slabs, okay, 20%, 40%, and 45%. So these slabs will be decided every, I mean, it will be changed every tax year. Okay, let me start with the tax year. For UK, the tax year starts from 6th April till 5th April of the following year. So this is the tax year or the financial year followed in UK. So every year, uh, HMRC. The HMRC is nothing but the government of UK. Its full form is Her Majesty Revenue Commission. Okay, so this HMRC will provide the tax slabs and other statutory rates to be followed for the following year in the month of November or December, so that the payroll software providers, they will be able to upgrade or provide the patches to incorporate those changes for the upcoming tax years. Okay. And yeah, coming to this tax, how this tax is calculated. So for every payment made to the employee, okay, whether it is basic pay or other allowances you maintain in Info Type 14 or 15, it depends on the client whether those components should be considered for tax calculation or not. So we do a configuration for those wage types, whether if it is to be taxable or non-taxable earnings. Okay, so in the backend configuration, I will show you those tables shortly. So if it is to be taxed, okay, so we do the accumulation for wage type 121. This is the taxable earnings wage types. All the wage types, which are all the payments which are supposed to be considered for tax calculation, will be added to this /121 wage type. On this amount, the tax will be calculated. Okay. So for calculating the tax, there are three important components to be considered. One is the tax code source, and next is tax code, and the third one is tax basis. We call it as this tax basis. So the tax code source is nothing but how the tax code is arrived or decided for this employee. For example, if the employee joins the organization as a fresher or a new hire, so we use the tax code source as EMP. Or if it is a existing employee, so every year the tax code will keep changing. So how the tax code is arrived for this employee? So either it could be through form P6 or P9 or through P45. So these are all the different tax code sources available. And what is a tax code? Tax code is nothing but an allowance which are exempted from the employee's taxable earnings. For example, in India, we do have certain allowances exemptions like your insurance policies or your housing loan interest or housing loan premium and all will be considered for exemption from your taxable units. Likewise, in UK, we do have this tax code for those exemption. Okay, so every year this tax code will be keep changing. So the UK government will release the emergency tax code. For example, if as I said earlier, if a employee joins a company as a fresher, they may not have the tax code during the first period payroll. So what they do, they use this emergency tax code to calculate the tax contributions, and post that HMRC will decide whether to continue with this tax code or whether it should be increased or decreased based on the employee's earning. And tax base is nothing but there are two types of tax calculation. One is cumulative and next one is week one, month one. So cumulative is nothing but every period the taxable earnings will be cumulated. For example, in April, the employee's taxable earning is 5,000. So the tax will be calculated on this 5,000, let's say 250 pounds. And in May, the employee's earning is 5,000, but the tax will be calculated on 10,000. That is, let's say the 10,000 and the tax calculated is 500, but since the employee is already paid 250 pounds, the rest 250 will be deducted from the employees in the May period payroll. This is the cumulative tax basis, and week 1 month 1 is similar to this type, but here in week 1 month 1 the taxable earnings will not be cumulated. Instead, it will be calculated on the earnings in that particular payroll period. Uh, am I clear or am I going fast?
It's clear.
Sridham, I'm having doubt about this tax code source. You have mentioned like when an employee had joined, we used to maintain this code, right? That's what you have mentioned.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, like how in what basis we are going to specify these tax code sources? Is it
Okay.
based on that employee getting the salary, or is based on the experience wise? Like how it?
It doesn't matter whether the employee is an experienced employee or he's earning only 1,000 pounds in a month or 10,000 pounds in a month. If the employee joins first time in the company, okay, any company, so the first time the tax code source will always be EMP.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so once you're done with the first period payroll and the tax is calculated, and then those values will be reported to HMRC. Okay, there is a standard reporting structure available, which I will cover in later in the session. So we call it as
Oh,
FPS. Okay, so those will be reported to HMRC, and over let's say after 2 periods or the same period depends. Okay, so HMRC will decide whether to continue with this same tax code or not.
okay. For
So
this one, where it will they're maintaining, in which info type they're maintaining this tax
yeah,
code for
I'll come
them?
to that. Yeah, I'll come to that.
Right.
So far here, right? So how the tax is calculated, or this, what is the main uh, uh, prerequisite for this tax calculation? So now the info type for tax is 65. Info type 65. Okay, so this is the info type where you will mention all these three details. This is a mandatory info type. If it is not maintained for any employee, the payroll will throw an error saying info type 65 should be maintained. Okay. Yeah. So coming to the calculation base part. So as I said earlier, 121 will be the base considered for calculating tax, and whatever the tax calculated will be reported in the it will be generated in the /501. So in this scenario, as I said, 250. So here it will be 250, and here it will be 5,000 pounds. And the function which does this calculation is GTax, the payroll cycle. Before that, the standard payroll schema for GB is G000. So this schema will have the function GTax. So GTax will consider the taxable earnings and what is the tax code and the tax basis, and based on the current year tax lab. For example, if you are running the payroll for the tax year 2020, 2021, so there are various slabs available like 0 to uh, yeah, 0 to 37,500 pounds will be calculated on 20 percentage, and 37,500 to 1,50,000 it will be calculated on 20%, and any amount above 1,50,000 will be calculated on 45%. So basically, these are all the annual slab. Okay, so for example, in this scenario, okay, let's talk about this 1250. So 0.750 is 20%. 7.02 and 50,000 is 40%. 45%. So these are all like annual slabs. So to arrive the monthly slab, all we need to do is divide by, if it is a monthly payroll, you will divide it by 12. And if it is a weekly payroll, you will be dividing it by 52 weeks. And likewise, depends on your payroll frequency, that slabs will be different. Okay, so as I quoted earlier, so the taxable pay, let's say, consider as 5,000. Okay, so now this up to this much will be on 20%, and the rest of the amount, that is 5,000 minus 3,125. So this will be calculated on 40%. Will be, is it clear? So the tax code, what is this tax code? As I said earlier, this tax code is nothing but the exemption provided in the taxable units. For example, here it says 1250L. 1250L is nothing but 1250L should be replaced with the number 9. So this is the annual exemption amount for this particular employee. So what we need to do, what the system does is basically it divides this amount by the number of payroll frequency, and then let's say in this month we are running a monthly payroll, so there are 12 periods. So this amount will be divided by 12, and then it will reduce the total taxable units. In this scenario, 5,000 is our taxable unit, so 5,000 minus this monthly exemption. So the amount will be, the tax will be calculated on this 3,957 pounds, and then that will be deducted from the employee's earnings, and then it will be reported to the DOM. Any doubt in this so far?
So why you have taken 9 there for L?
That's a standard calculation. So if it is, see, there are various different tax codes like 250L, which will start with L, and sometimes some tax code starts with K, and sometimes some there are certain tax codes called 0T, DR. So these are all different tax codes. Okay, so the difference between these tax codes is if it comes with L or K, whatever it is. So it should be replaced with 9 as per the legislation.
Okay.
So here, if it is L, so it should be deducted or reduce the taxable earnings of that period. If it is K, then it will be added to the taxable earnings because the employee's earning is very less. So HMRC decides that it should add some more component, and then the tax should be calculated. And these are all the standard tax codes, 0T and DR. Nothing but basic calculation. So whatever the taxable earnings for that particular will be calculated on a standard 20% rate, basic rate. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, the function does this calculation is GDAX. And the next important thing is national insurance. It's similar to your tax calculation, but here along with the employee contribution, we will calculate the employer contribution as well. So this is nothing but the specific earnings which are paid to the government, so that the employee can avail certain benefits like statutory leaves and other benefits provided by the government. This is a mandatory, and it will be calculated based on the earnings in the period. So info type for this is info type 69. So we maintain NI category over there. So what is NI category? So NI category is nothing but an alphabet. It will be like A, M, and H. There are various NI category available. Okay, so based on the NI category, your NI contributions will be calculated. So yeah, before that, there is something called NI number. It's similar to our PAN number, where all the information related to each citizen will be stored in that PAN number, right? So likewise in UK, all the details about the particular citizen will be stored in this NI number, like which company they are working and what is their earnings and how much they have contributed in the current tax year with respect to tax and NI, and what are the allowances they are getting from the government, and what are the payments they are supposed to make to the government, like in terms of court order and other stuffs. So everything will be captured in this NI number. So the NI number is basically a 9-digit. So it starts with num2 in alphabets, and 6 numbers, and again one alphabet. So this NI number will be assigned to the individual on their 16th birthday. So this will be provided by HMRC. So basically your NI number will be, for example, it might look like this. So all the information related to that employee or individual will be stored in this NI number. So this NI number will have the detail of their tax code and NI category, and basically all the details like similar to our PAN card in India. Okay, so yeah, coming to this NI category. So most of all the employees in the country will fall under this A category. So all the employees will be on A, and your NI calculations will happen based on this NI category. And if the employee is under age 21, so then they will be assigned with the NI category again. So again, these NI categories will be decided by HMRC. Okay, so based on that, this NI category, NI calculation will happen. So the base for this NI calculation will be let's say /131. All the earnings which are supposed to be considered for NI contribution will be added to this wastage /131. And the employee contributions will be calculated and generated in this wastage /301, and employer NI contribution will be calculated in the base step /302. And the function which does this calculation is GBNIC. So far clear or any doubts?
What of the percentage of the NIC, ER and
Yeah, I'll come to
employee contribution?
Yeah, I will come to that. So now there are various slabs like tax. You have the NI, we call it as lower earnings limit first. Lower earnings limit. And, the next slab will be primary threshold. Next we have AST. We have so all the enable, for example, if you have a enable earnings, this particular period will be split into this so the enable earnings for that particular period will be segregated into these different slabs and certain percentages will be applied here. So for example, for the current tax year, the lower earnings limit is 520 pounds per month. And for the primary threshold, it's 792. And for the secondary, it's upper earnings limit is 60. So your earnings will be segregated into these slabs and then percentages will be applied. For example, if it is A, up here the 0% will be calculated, and for primary threshold 12%, this will be, and here it will be 2%. So the earnings will be for initial up to 520 and in up to 732 pounds, there will not be any calculation. And 732 to 60, here the difference is 60. 60% will be 60 pounds will be calculated on 12%, and rest of the amount will be calculated on 2%. So this is for employee contribution. And for employer, same. So 0%, and here it will be 13.8%, and again here 0%, and again here it will be 13.8%. So based on this percentage, the contributions will be calculated. Again, these slabs, as I said, these slabs will keep changing every year. So it will be decided by the government, and then it will be updated in the backend table. On that slabs, that NI contributions will be calculated. Is it clear? So as I said, the function which does this calculation is GBNIC, and it takes the amount or the value in /131 for calculation, and then it generates the contribution in /301 and 302. Okay. Next is code orders, which will be stored in Ecotype 70. So unlike India, all the court orders or all the contributions or reductions to be happen from employees' earnings will be sent by the government to the employer directly. Okay, either it could be a student loan or a postgraduate loan or any court order types. There are various court order types available. Is all the details will be provided by HMRC to the employer. So there is a standard program available to pull the data from HMRC side and upload it in InfoType 17. Okay, once it's been uploaded during payroll processing, based on the records created in InfoType 17, the court order deductions will happen, and then it will be deducted from the employee's salary. Whatever the amount deducted, that will be paid to the government on behalf of employee by the employer. Is it clear, or am I going fast and clear?
Yeah, it's good, sir.
The function which does this is GCRTO, and it generates a different wage types like CSL for student loan and slash PGL for postgraduate loan and slash CO1 for other court order types. So all the contributions will be calculated based on this. All the contributions will be calculated and generated in this wage type. So each court order will have minimum amount to be deducted from the employee's money. So that will be all the details will be provided, like how much contributions should be deducted from the employee's money. So all the details will be provided by the government, and those will be uploaded in InfoType 7. Okay, so CSL and PGL will be like 9% on employees' earning. So that will be deducted on basically 9% on employees' enabled earning, and that will be calculated. Is it clear? So next main legislation will be like statutory absences. It's for certain absence types, the UK government will pay some amount to the individuals. For example, if an employee goes on a maternity leave, okay, so the UK government will pay some amount for the those leave duration. And likewise, we have sickness, adoption, paternity, and child parental. So all these are called as statutory absences. If the amount which should be paid for these absences or again decided by the government, every tax year this amount will keep changing. And they do have certain criteria for these absences. Whether the employee is eligible or not, and what is their earnings over a period of time, and how much duration they will be getting this statutory payment, and all those things are there. So, for example, let's talk about maternity. So, maternity, the employee will receive a weekly payment of 151.20 pounds. Okay, so to get this amount, the employee should be in the company for 26 weeks. Basically, let's say an employee is working in XYZ company. She is working from, let's say, period 120, and she is applying leave on 1st of April 20. So if you see, the employee is there with the company for more than a year. So then this employee is entitled to receive this maternity and payment. And yeah, again, this payment will be made by the employer on behalf of government, and they will recover it back from the government. And in addition to this, they have to be uh, provide some proof like MAC B1 certification, proof that the employee is on really going on a maternity leave. Okay. Uh, is it clear? Sorry, again. Uh, yeah. So the absences will be loaded in as Infotype 2001, and other details like the MAC B1 certification and whatever the details like when the employee is planning to go on a leave and what is their 36 weeks maintained in MAC. So everything will be updated in Infotype 88. So based on these two criteria in the combination, the function GPXSP will calculate the maternity pay, and then it will be generated in the wage type slash MPY, SMPR, and SMPN. So as I said, if the employee goes on a full month leave, so that will be like 4 weeks payment. So 4 weeks will be like so this 604 points will be generated in this wage type slash MPY. And out of initially this will be paid by the company, and they will be recovering 92% of this amount from the government. So that will be generated in this SMPR wage type, and that 8% will be generated in this SMPM wage type. All these calculation will happen in this function GPXSP. So there the standard SAP standard provided absence types for this maternity is available. So that will do the calculation part everything. So employee in this absence, employee is entitled to receive 39 weeks payment, out of which first 6 weeks will be calculated on 90% of their average weekly. So what is this average weekly? Average weekly earning is nothing but the earning of 2 periods from their entitled to week. For example, if the employee is going on leave from 1st of April 2020, but the baby is due on 4th of April 2020. So system will go 15 weeks backwards, and then it will decide which period to be considered for arriving this average weekly earning calculation. So on an average, if it is April, it will go back till the period December and November. So we will consider these two periods earning to decide this average weekly earning, and out of which 90% will be paid for first 6 weeks, and the rest of the 33 weeks will be paid on the normal standard rate, which is 151.20 hours. So the total 39 weeks will be paid on maternity leave. This will be a weekly payment. So the payment will be made on completion of this week. For example, the employee start the leave on 1st of April. On completion of 7th April will be considered as 1 week, and the payment will be paid for that completed week. For example, in a month there will be 5 weeks. Like 5th week will have only 4 days. So those 4 days payment will be made in the following period, not on the particular the same period. Is it clear? Just to understand the concept, maybe the following sessions, I'll explain in depth by showing it in the SAP and how it is calculated or how we have to do the configuration. And similar to maternity, even adoption is for 39 weeks. Same concept applies here. 6 weeks of 90% and 33 weeks of the standard rate will be paid. And function GPXSP does the same calculation. And then the base type generator will be slash GPY SAPR SAPA. This is again the weekly payment. Next, paternity. Paternity is only applicable for 2 weeks, which will be paid on the standard rate. And the base types generated will be slash PPY, PPY, The only difference between these absence is the sickness absence. What it happens, how the calculation will be like, the employee is entitled to receive 28 weeks of payment. And when the first time when the employee applies a sick leave, the first 3 days will be considered as a waiting days. Only from the 4th day onwards, the payment will be calculated. So first time when the employee applies, the leave should be minimum 4 days. Then only the payment will start getting calculated. Or else it will go into period of incapacity or like in a PIW, and the payment will not be calculated. So basically the absence duration should be more than 3 days, so that this waiting days concept and payments will be generated. And again here, since it is a sickness, the employee may not apply on a continuous 28 weeks or continuous 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So let's say in April, you will apply for 5 days of sick leave. And again in May, 2 days leaves will be applied. And after that, again in the month of August, if he applies 5 days leave, so there is a gap of 56 days, right? 30 in June and 31st in July. So gap of 56 days. So again, the 3 days waiting concept will apply in the absence on August. Is it clear or confused? Am I not clear?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Sriram. Ashok here.
Yeah.
As we discussed before, some insurance, right? Insurance concept and these leave payment concept. These amounts are taxable income.
We're talking about national insurance.
Yes, right. The contribution which the employer contribution and employee contribution is there, right? Those are
Exactly.
all considered under taxable income, or it should deduct it from the.
No. See, as I said earlier, tax is different and national insurance contribution is different.
Yeah. So, if, for example, I have contributed some percentage, as you said that of 792 pounds, it should be 12% or something, right? Employer contribution, right?
Yeah.
So, if I am getting earnings like some, as you said that $5,000, okay. So that time, how it should calculate? It is not calculate on earnings. It is something different.
No. See, again, the 5,000 pounds, let's say it's a basic salary, so there are no other allowances paid to that employee. Okay.
Right.
So your basic pay will be considered for taxable earnings as well as NI contribution earnings. Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so taxable, you are clear. So how the tax is calculated on that.
Yeah.
Now, enable earnings again, that 5,000 pounds will be, splitted across these slabs. Like, initially it will be like 520, next will be 532, next will be 562, and rest of the amount, like 4167. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your 5,000 will be like initial 520 will be there, and the difference of this again, the difference will be like this minus this. So the total, if you see, it comes around only 1,282. Okay, so the balance will be like 5,000 minus of these values.
Yeah, it means it is a tax exemption, right?
No, not tax exemption. Tax is different.
Okay.
Okay, this will be your NI slabs based on your earnings. So on which your percentage will be applied. Like here, it's 0%.
Yeah.
Again, 0%. It will be 20% here, and here it will be 13.8%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so same thing goes for employer contribution as well.
Okay.
So what will happen is employee contribution will be like this into this. So employer contribution will be like this. Percentage. So the total employee contribution will be like this much will be employee contribution and this will be the employer contribution. So basically your enable earnings will be split into these slabs, and for each slab the percentage will be applied.
Okay.
Is it clear or?
Yeah.
Similar to your taxable earnings, where you will apply the what do you call it? The allowance will be deducted from the taxable earnings. But in NI contribution, there is no such concept like allowances. Whatever the enable earnings for that particular period, the slabs will be applied, and then the percentage will be applied on them.
Okay.
So this amount 579 will be generated in /301, and 588 will be generated in /302.
So, sir, this amount 579, will it be cumulated to /121 to be taxable?
No. See, let's say your basic wage salary, basic wage step is 1,000. Okay, and you maintain 5,000 and input type 8. Okay, this is your base. Okay. So
Yeah.
during payroll processing, this 5,000 will be added to /131, and will be added to /131, 5,000. Okay.
Okay. Okay, okay, got it.
GTax, GTax will consider this wage type and amount, and then it will calculate the contribution in slash 501. That is what we have calculated is 604, right? So that will be generated here.
Okay,
GBNIC
yeah,
function will consider this wage type and amount, and then it will calculate this slash 301 and slash 302. So basically it's 579 and it will be 588.
okay, yeah, got it.
So these two contributions will be deducted from the employee's earning, and then these two will be reported to government through FPS report. Is it clear? No?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I think Ashok was asking the topic. I believe I answered this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Yeah. So now coming to the statutory absences. Okay. So as I said, the employee's earning. Okay. So here, let's say 5,000 is the employee's earning. Okay. So 5,000 will be considered for arriving this 90 percentage of average weekly earning. So for first 6 weeks, it will be like 5,000. So this much amount will be paid. So this is a monthly salary, right? So it will be calculated on 90 percentage. Is it clear now till statutory absences?
Yes.
Yeah, coming to this sickness, as I said, the 3 days waiting will be applied again if the employee's absence duration is more than 56 days. Okay, again, the initial 3 days will be waiting days, and then the following again 2 days payment will be calculated. Unlike other statutory absences, these absences will be paid on a daily basis. Okay, so let's say if the payment is 95 pounds. Okay, government decided payment rate is 95 pounds for a week. Okay, then based on the employee's work pattern, if the employee works 5 days in a week, then it will be divided by 5 to arrive the daily rate. And based on the number of days the employee applied, the payment will be calculated. Whereas in maternity, if you see, that is for a entire week. Okay, the week payment will be calculated on a completed week. The payment will be made for the completed week. So this is the only difference between sickness and other statutory absences. Okay, again, as I said earlier, the function GPXSP does this calculation, and then it will be generating the wage type slash SPY and SSPO or SSPP wage type. Okay. Unlike other absences, for the payment made to the sickness, the employer cannot recover the payment. For example, as I said, maternity, the employer can recover up to 92% of the amount paid to the employee on the statutory component. Whereas in sickness, it will not happen. So whatever paid is on behalf of the government. That's it. They cannot recover this amount. Is it clear now? Is it clear or confusing? This sickness and maternity. So I'll reiterate that statutory absences, okay, or certain absences, the UK government will pay the employee based on their eligibility. Okay, the rate for each absences is fixed, and then it will be decided for every financial year, and then the new rates will be released. Okay, for sickness, it will be calculated based on daily, and whereas for other absences like maternity, paternity, adoption, and shared parental leave, it will be calculated based on a weekly. And the employer will pay this amount on behalf of government, and then they will recover it from the government. So, and they can recover up to 92 percentage of the amount they are paid to the employee for these absences. This is called statutory absences. I'll explain more in depth on these absences in the following sessions. Just try to understand the concept. Now, in addition to this statutory absences, absence payment, we do have something called occupational payment. What is this occupational payment? As we consider, let's say this employee, okay, this employee's earning is 5,000 in a month, okay, but whereas the government fixed standard rate for maternity is 151 pounds, right? 151.2. This is a weekly payment. So if you see, if an employee's earning is 5,000 and standard fixed rate is, so if you see the employee, if an employee goes on an entire month on maternity, then let's say there are only 4 weeks. Okay. So if you calculate, the employee will get only 604 pounds, whereas the employee was earlier getting 5,000 pounds. Right? There is a huge difference of amount. When an employee goes on a complete month of statutory leave, the employee will earn very less. So to compensate this, what the companies in UK does is based on their seniority. For example, if the employee is with the company for let's say more than 2 years, okay, they they will be willing to pay some additional amount when the employee goes on a statutory leave. So that is called occupational payment. In other words, they will try to compensate the differences of this amount, 4,000 pounds. Is it clear or confusing?
Clear, Sriram?
Okay. So in other words, the company will try to adjust the employee's earnings. For example, in this scenario, the employee statutory payment will be like uh, 604 pounds and occupational payment will be like 4,000 pounds. So they will try to adjust these differences through this occupational payment concept. And again, this may not be applicable for all the employees in the organization because someone might have joined uh, what do you say, 6 months back or a year back, and someone might be with them for almost more than 2 3 years. So based on their seniority or the company policy, they will decide how much amount should be paid for these employees on these absences. For example, if the employee with more than 5 years of seniority, they might be entitled to receive 100% of this amount. If the employee is only 2 years of seniority, they might be entitled to receive only 50% of this. Guys, just a minute. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm back. So is it clear on this occupational payment? Hello, I'm audible guys. Hello, hello.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. So this is called occupational payment, and for these, we do have certain configurations table based on the employee's requirement, and standard SAP delivered also is there. So I'll show you guys later in the sessions. And next important thing is RTA legislation wise. So RTA is nothing but real-time information. It's a full form. So in this, there are various standard reports available. Okay, there are reports like FPS, EPS, UIU, and P45. So FPS is nothing but full payment submission. Okay, so this report should be submitted to the government at end of the each payroll period. For example, you are running the payroll for April period, and your pay date is 25th of the month. So this report should be submitted before 25th of the month to the government. So this report will contains the details of each employee in your organization, like their name, address, NI number, what is the taxable earnings for that particular period, what is the enable earnings, what is the tax contributed or deducted from the employee, and NI contribution detail, if the employee is on either statutory leave or not, and those details will be captured, and then that will be reported to the government through this report. And EPS is nothing but employer payment submission, and this report will contain detail about the employer. For example, as I said earlier here, that 92% of amount will be recovered from HMRC, right? So those amount will be reported in this EPS. How much the employer is about to receive from the government. So this will have those information, the recoverable amount and the apprentice levy details. And this will be submitted to the government on or before 19th of the following month. That is, for April period, EPS report should be submitted on or before May 19th. So usually all the customers will do it along with FPS. In certain cases, like if the payroll is a 4 weekly payroll and you do have a different pay dates. Okay, so what they do is they will club together those two payroll and then they will submit in the following month. And this is nothing but earlier year update. Okay, so what purpose of this report is like you run the payroll for entire year. Okay, after completing the 12th period. Okay, so you are about to issue P60 form. Okay, you noticed that for some employees, okay, their earnings are calculated incorrectly. For example, the taxable pay, which should have been 60,000 pounds, whereas the system generated it as 80,000 pounds. Okay, so then what they do is they use this UIU report to update the employee data, as well as they will report the correct values to the government using this UIU. Okay, and P45. P45 is the form issued for the employee who left the company. For example, the employee was there with you with the company till August. Okay, so the employee left in the month of August. So this P45 will have the details of the employee's earnings from April till August, and that will be issued to the employee. So the employee has to submit this P45 form to the new organization where he joins. So that what they do, they will consider the previous taxable earnings and then they do calculate the tax for the following periods. Okay, and next is P60. P60 is the form which is issued at the end of the tax year. Like in India, we have Form 16, right? Likewise, in UK, they call it as P60. This will be generated at the end of the every tax year or every financial year, and then they will be providing it to the employer. So this is not required to be submitted to HMRC. These two forms, P45 and P60. However, these three forms, FPS, EPS, and EYU, these forms should be submitted to the government, and it should be submitted on or before the specified date, or else there will be a huge penalty for the companies. And the next one is last form will be like P11D. P11D is the form to be used for reporting taxable benefits. For example, they provide some company car or health benefits. Okay, so that will not be valued as a monetary benefits, but the employee has the privilege to enjoy those benefits. So those benefits values should be reported to the government through this P11D form. So there are various configuration steps available that I will show in the following sessions, where we need to do how to configure all this. Okay, so this is the forms which are available, and the last topic is like pensions. Okay, effective to 2015, the HMRC has decided that all the employees in the organization should be make some contributions towards their pensions. So what they did, they come up with a concept called pension auto enrollment. Okay, for example, if the employee's age is between 22 to no, 65, 65 is the state pension age, and the employee is earning more than 10,000 pounds in a year, then by default, these employee should be auto-enrolled to a qualified pension schemes. So, and the contributions should be deducted and made towards those pensions, irrespective of the employee's willingness. Okay, so they have to do it. So this is called pension auto enrollment, and this is you know, again, the pension schemes, everything will be decided by the employer. Which pension schemes should be given to the employee, what kind of benefits are available towards pension. There are various pension providers in UK. Each company will have a tie-up with the individual pension provider, and they will provide those benefits to the employee. Okay. So once the employee is auto-enrolled, for example, and if the employee did not want to continue with that scheme, then there is a provision like they can opt out of the scheme. Or in other words, like the employee is between this age, but the earning is less than 10,000 pounds. So then what it will happen, the employee may not be auto-enrolled, but the employee is willing to contribute towards your pension schemes. Like we have voluntary PF deduction in India, right? Where PF is the base, but voluntary is like the employee is willing to pay more towards the PF. So likewise, here they do have concept. They call it as a pensions. So this is how calculated in the function called GPENS, and there is various features and schemes configurations available. So I will explain those in the following sessions. Okay, so this is the document which will be provided as part of these sessions. So it has all the details about whatever I have explained, for 65, 69, and what is this being considered, or which functions calculates and everything. And another document talks about statutory absences and RTA, real-time information. So these two documents will be shared as part of the following sessions, and topics will be like whatever I have told, like tax, NI, statutory absences, occupational payment, RTI, Yeah, so these topics we will cover in depth in the following sessions. So mostly it will take almost 20 to 25 sessions to cover all these topics. I'll explain in depth and I'll show those things in the SAP screen and how the calculations are happening. Everything will be explained in the following sessions. Is there any doubt, guys?
Yeah, Sriram, you are taking only the payroll part for first, first 20 days.
No, I'll explain only about the legislation part, not payroll. General payroll, I will not explain. I'll explain only
Okay.
that UK legislations
Okay.
and where we configure or how to configure and how the calculations happens.
Okay. So the technical part, when you are going to start, Sriram?
That admin will let you know.
Okay. First, you are going to taking care of this tax calculation, NI, and statutory absence,
Yes,
and other
I'll,
parts,
I'll go with
examples,
the
and
basics. Yes, correct.
okay. Okay.
As I said, as I showed here in the Excel sheet, which I will show in not system how and where it is calculated and all those things. I'll
Yeah,
show with an
these
example.
things actually, for myself, I'm just having this knowledge about the background fully on the tax, and I because I'm working in ADP in the payroll last 10 years. So I just
Okay.
wanted the technical part, like configuration part.
Yeah, I'll explain those as well. For example, when you say tax and NI, these are all pretty much straightforward. Okay, the configuration part will comes like configuring the wage types, whether to be included in tax NI. In NI also we have that irregular payment, regular payment, and where do you do those configuration? And when it comes to
Hmm.
the occupational, we need to configure the schemes and as I said that 100%, 50% differences. What will be the
Yeah,
accounting calculation tools? So those technical aspects I will cover as part of this.
yeah. I'm talking about the different point of view, like company code creation, payroll area creation, and everything.
No, those will not be covered. I will not cover those.
Okay, in this training, it will not cover. Huh?
I will cover only the UK legislation part.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought it is basically the sessions, the technical point of view, like
Actually, I said
uh,
initially when
consultant, SAP consultant point of view. I'm talking about.
no, that's what I initially I said like on basic configuration, you guys should be aware of like how the company code, what is the company code, how you create personal area. So that should be aware of this. I'll be covering the part of legislation and what are the configurations and other stuffs associated with these legislation.
Okay, okay, okay.
Sriram,
Okay,
Ashok here.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Is the sessions on weekends or normal working days also, Monday to Friday also is
That admin will, I'll will talk to them.
there? Okay.
Sriram,
So
Sriram,
as you said,
Yeah.
yeah, Sriram, this is Pratap here.
But
Yeah, these sessions are going to be on regular basis, Monday to Saturday.
okay.
okay.
And
Timing?
yeah, starting from Monday, the timing we will need to check with all the people who are interested to join, and then based on their comfortness, convenience, we will decide the timing. Probably it will be morning time before 11.
Okay.
Yeah, that I will confirm by Monday, by Sunday tomorrow.
Okay.
So any other details, you can contact that admin. So the number is shared to you all. You can talk to her. Her name is Vijaya. Okay.
So, sir, for UK, there are overall like specifically 12 info types. So those all 12 info types will be covered in detail, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And overall sessions will be only for UK legislation. It will be like 25 to 40, as you said.
No, may not be 40, maybe 25 to 36. Depends on how in depth we are going. Because certain sessions will you guys will have more doubts. So that may extend for 2 to 3 sessions. So it depends. So max to max it will be covered under 30 sessions.
Okay, okay.
So all the info types related to UK and the topics which I showed you guys, so those will be covered.
Okay.
The attendances are expected to have a knowledge in basic SAP payroll, I mean international payroll, as it is the training planned only for UK specific topics. The PCR schemas, InfoType 8 configuration, payroll run basics and all that is not part of this one. This is basically for the people who already learned that basic SAP international payroll. Okay. Any questions from anyone? You can ask Sriram. Are there any benefits UK specific, Sriram? Year-end processing will be covered, right?
Yeah. Start of the year, end of year, everything will be covered. End of year
Okay.
is nothing but P11 and P60. So that I explained.
Okay, benefits and
Benefits separate.
integration.
No, we have healthcare and company car. So
Okay.
that will be a separate info types.
Okay. Fine. Thank you, Sriram.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.